best quotes of all time, where the greatest quotes on the planet become your superpower.
Don't take anything too seriously. Accept all the ups and downs of life with lightness. Jefferson. It is like a cool stream flowing through the weary mind, burdened by the gains and losses of life. It does not advise us to be indifferent, nor does it tell us to give up, but gently reminds us that everything in life is impermanent, and it is the way we perceive things that determines the peace within our hearts. Life is much like a sky with layers of clouds. There are days of clear sunshine and days shrouded in gray rain, yet the sky remains the sky. If we place too much importance on success, it becomes a burden. If we fear failure excessively, it turns into chains. When good fortune arrives, welcome it like a cool breeze, give thanks, and keep moving forward. When misfortune strikes, treat it like a sudden shower. Your clothes may get wet, but the rain will pass. When we neither exaggerate joy nor deepen sorrow, our soul becomes like a calm lake, reflecting all events without being swept away by the waves. This lightness in acceptance does not weaken a person. On the contrary, it builds a quiet strength. It is the strength of those who understand they cannot control everything, but can always choose their attitude toward life. When we let go of excessive attachment, we create space for peace, for gratitude, and for simple joys. And in that very moment, we realize living lightly is not living superficially. It is living deeply, deeply in understanding, deeply in love, and deeply in freedom with oneself. Stand firm and do not think you will fall, and you will never fall. H. Andersen. Amid the uncertainties of life, this is an affirmation of the spirit that touches deeply into the essence of faith and inner strength. For many times in life, people do not collapse because of circumstances, but because of the fear they nurture and magnify in their own thoughts. Standing firm is not just a physical posture, but a state of the soul. It is when a person remains calm in the face of strong winds, without imagining scenarios of collapse and trembling even while the ground beneath their feet is still solid. Thoughts are like an anchor dropped into the sea. If the anchor is faith, the ship will stay steady amid the waves. If the anchor is worry, the ship will drag itself down. When we constantly think we will fall, the mind begins to waver. The legs grow hesitant, and that very hesitation paves the way for failure. It does not deny the possibility of stumbling, but emphasizes the power of self-belief. Those who do not think they will fall are not invincible. They are simply strong enough not to weaken themselves before the real challenge arrives. Like an ancient tree with roots deep in the earth, it does not stand to defy storms, but stands because it trusts its own endurance. And similarly, when people keep their minds steady and believe in their own abilities, even when fierce winds blow, they can stand tall, calm, and continue walking forward. When everything else is gone, the future still remains. Bovee. It does not deny the pain of loss, nor does it paint reality in rosy colors, but quietly points to something more enduring than all that has departed. The ability to begin again when we face the emptiness left by things once familiar, shattered beliefs, broken relationships, unfinished dreams. Despair often makes us feel that everything has ended, but in truth, it is only a chapter that has closed. The book of life remains unwritten. The future exists not as a guaranteed promise of happiness, but as untilled soil where we still hold the right to choose. No matter how barren the present may be, tomorrow remains an open space for hope to take root, like a field after a fire, covered in ashes, Yet those very ashes enrich the soil for the next planting season. People are the same. Loss may take away much that is external, but it cannot take away the ability to look forward unless we ourselves abandon it. The value of life lies not only in what we currently possess, but also in what we can still become. When we have nothing left to cling to, we gain the freedom to build a new path. And in that moment that seems so empty, the future quietly waits, not loudly, not forcefully, only asking that we turn around, look, and take one more step. The best way to have an outstanding idea is to have a lot of ideas. Author unknown. The essence of creativity, simple yet profound, it dismantles the notion that great ideas are rare gifts bestowed only on geniuses, and instead highlights a more practical truth. Creativity is the result of constant accumulation, experimentation, and relentless filtering. An outstanding idea does not drop from the sky in a solitary flash of inspiration. It is born from an entire garden, filled with thoughts big and small, right and wrong, naive and bold. Ideas are like grains of sand on a beach. If you pick up only a small handful, hoping to find a precious gem, the chances are slim. But if you patiently gather many, observe closely, and experiment widely, the likelihood of touching that gem grows. Most initial ideas may be fragmentary, incomplete, or even mistaken, but they form the foundation from which the best one emerges. Without clumsy drafts, there is no polished version. Without ordinary thoughts, it is hard to recognize the extraordinary. It frees those who create from pressure. We are allowed to think a lot, think wrongly, think freely, without fear of failure. When we are no longer obsessed with thinking perfectly from the start, the mind becomes open, flexible, and full of energy. And then, amid the flow of countless ideas, an outstanding one will naturally appear, not as magic, but as the inevitable result of persistence, curiosity, and daring to try. There is never such a thing as the right time, Kevin Plank. It strips away the hesitation people often cloak themselves in. It is not accusatory in tone, but a stark truth. Many dreams are abandoned not for lack of ability, but because we keep waiting for a perfect moment that does not exist. People often believe that if they just wait a little longer until they are more skilled, more prepared, better equipped, everything will fall into place. But that right time, like the horizon, recedes the closer we approach. Life does not operate on an ideal schedule. It is like a river that always flows, never pausing to ask if we are ready. If we stand on the bank, waiting for the water to calm, we will never learn to swim. Those who dare to start are often not the ones with perfect conditions, but those who accept imperfection and move forward with it. The initial clumsiness, the first mistakes, these are the natural price of living true to one's desires. It does not deny the importance of preparation, but stresses that action is always more important than waiting for perfection, because it is through doing that people become ready, like a seed that cannot wait for perfect soil before sprouting. It grows by adapting to rain, sun, wind, and frost, and people grow not in absolute safety, but in the moments they dare to step out when not entirely certain. When we understand there is no ideal time, we are freed from the fear of procrastination. Every present moment, however imperfect, can become a starting point, and sometimes what we regret most is not the things we did wrong, but the things we never did because we waited for a right time that never existed. Always be a first-rate version of yourself instead of a second-rate version of somebody else. Judy Garland. It does not deny the value of learning, nor reject admiration for others, but gently poses a core question: Who are we living to become? On the journey of growth, people easily get caught up in copying the success, style, or lifestyle of others, hoping that following those footprints will be safer. But the truth is, no matter how refined a copy may be, it will always stand behind the original. Each person is born with a unique blueprint, a one-of-a-kind combination of personality, experiences, abilities, and aspirations. When we try to become someone else, we unwittingly enter a race where defeat is almost predetermined because we can never fully live their life. Like a wildflower trying to bloom in the shape of a greenhouse rose, it may be beautiful, but it loses its own natural vitality. Only when it is itself does that flower release a fragrance no one else can replicate. It allows us to stop comparing, stop feeling inferior, stop chasing standards that do not belong to us. Being the first-rate version of yourself does not mean being perfect. It means living authentically as who you are, developing from your own foundation, and accepting both strengths and weaknesses. In that space, confidence no longer comes from being better than others, but from no longer needing to be like anyone else. This world does not need more pale copies. It needs people who dare to live true to their own essence. When we choose to become the best version of ourselves, we not only find inner freedom, but also contribute to life a unique value, something no second-rate version could ever achieve.